This, of course, was the original helicopter that came with the police set, the police station set, and it's complete. I think we're probably missing a light or something on the top, but this is basically how it came. Very car-like in its construction. What we changed was we used this special piece, which we happen to have anyway, and kind of built the helicopter around that and one other special piece, which is a roof section. Now, they're not necessary to build a helicopter that resembles this design, but they do help kind of make it look more realistic. Now, you'll note that it is much, much bigger than the original helicopter, but that's partly because it has seating for two, and it also has a storage area back in the back, which you can see the door of right there. So we're going to show you how this is built, but you'll have to make some adaptations if you don't have some of these specialty pieces. But there's really just a couple. It's mostly standard pieces. Alright, so here we go. Okay, I was just taking this apart to do the tutorial, and I noticed that it still had machine guns mounted upside down in those front brackets. That kind of gives this helicopter a second degree of menace that it wouldn't otherwise have. They're not really part of our design, but you can see where they're mounted underneath there if you want to replicate that and make a police gunship. Alright, let's get back to the tutorial. Okay, fundamentally, the helicopter is built on a 6 stud long, 4 stud wide frame, I guess. It's not really a chassis, it's a helicopter. But we've added a 1x4 to the front to make it the proper length, and of course an anti-collision light on the bottom. These are just 1x3 slopes with your standard police doors. Now, this is where you could start doing your modifications if you didn't have these pieces. You could use just regular tile pieces that have the sides on them. You could use regular pieces for that matter. You don't necessarily have to have doors. We happen to have extra doors, so that's why we did that. And you could just make this a 1x6 all the way across and call it a day. But that is basically how this helicopter gets started. From there, we're going to take a 2x3 piece, and we're going to put a little joystick on there on top of a one of these centering pieces like that. You could put 2 up there if you wanted to. You could do a steering wheel if you wanted to. But it's going to sit right on top of the front here so that it's hanging out 1 stud width. Okay, and then behind it we're going to add a 1x2 brick to kind of close that off, to kind of make a wall between the front and the back seat, and we're going to put a roll bar here. You could use an actual chair piece instead, but we didn't have any spare chair pieces when we built this, so we didn't. Now, for the sides of the cabin, we're going to use these airplane window panel pieces. These are 2x1, they're 1 wide, 2 deep, and 2 tall. You could also use just a regular 1x2 brick pieces and just build them up. This is not required for arm space, which is why you usually would use these kind of panel pieces. We just did them because we needed to put something there to hold the roof up. And then we're going to put a black 1x2 brick on the top of each of those. That gives us the height we need for the cabin, and it also gives us some of our color scheme. I'll set that aside real quick. Slung under the nose is a lighting package, and it's just made using a hinge piece, and then we put one of those kind of weird bracket pieces on there and a whole bunch of lights. And that's because you typically do see a lot of lights on a police helicopter. You could adapt this so that it swivels, but we didn't have the room to do that because of the way the skids go on. So that's basically the basis of the cabin. So we're going to set that aside, and we're going to work on the back of the helicopter. Okay, before we show you how to build it, I want to show you kind of how it actually is built. So this is basically what the back section of the helicopter looks like once you've separated it from the rest of the frame. You can see we have a door on this side, and that door is 3 studs long. It's basically 2 regular doors stacked on top. So if you had 2 regular doors, you could also do it that way. And there's also some cabinet type pieces you can use that are basically the same size. But that's what it is. It's a 3 stud long, 2 stud high door piece. So if I take that off, you get a little bit better look at how this back end goes together. And it's really all just basic slope pieces, and then just some plate pieces to fill in. And that's it. There's room for improvement here if you have more specialty pieces, but again, we kind of are trying to stay away from that. The key is just to notice that this tile piece here is because of the roof piece that we have. If you're not using the exact roof piece that we're using, you do not need this tile piece. You can just use a regular plate. And for that matter, you could probably use, yeah, actually you could use just a regular brick in that place. So as we build this, I'll show you why, but I just want you to know that you could just use a brick in this section. That is only because of the roof piece that we happen to have, which you'll see in a bit. Okay, so to start the back of our helicopter, we're going to use two of these. These are 2x3 slopes, inverted slopes. So we're going to take two of those, and actually we're going to take a third one, and we're going to put it on to get us that back angle like this. And then we're going to fill that in with a 2x2 brick, and then a 1x3 brick on either side, just to bulk up the structure, like that. Now we are using that door on that side, so we're going to put the door piece in there. And then this is where maybe you want to make some variations for your own uses. But we're going to put a tile piece in here just to line that cargo area. That's just a regular 2x2 tile. And then you really just need to make any combination of bricks to go and build up this side and the back so that it's the same level as where we have our door. So that's two studs all around. Now I have a mixture of bricks here because this was made using spare parts, and that's kind of how a lot of these Lego creations go, frankly, is we just kind of fill in with what we have available. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You could use 2x2s, 1x3s, a whole bunch of 1x1s if you have them, whatever you have. So then I'm going to get to this point, and like I said, we have a special roof piece, so we've constructed using plates and a tile on top this kind of sub-assembly. And I'm going to put that on there like that so that we have a place for our roof piece to sit down flat, which you'll see in a minute. Okay, for our lower engine, we're going to use a 1x4 brick like that, which I dropped it. And you're going to need some of these round pieces and cone pieces. I'll put those together. And here's our middle assembly, and it's basically two of these brackets with the holes with 2x2 plates on top of them. That simply goes on the center like that. I'm going to pop on our exhaust housings, I guess they are. We'll bring back the back of our helicopter, and that's going to close off and wall off the back side of our cargo area. So that's the back assembly of the helicopter. So set that aside, and we'll show you the tail. Now the tail, really very simple. I don't know that I need to take it apart. I'll take a little bit of it apart here just so you can get an idea of the size. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's a 2x10 on top. The slope underneath, it's reinforced with a 2x6 and a 2x2. You could use a 2x8 if you happen to have it. We didn't, so that's why that's there. Again, the spare parts. And then this is the tail rotor, which is made out of a 2x2 block with a slope on it. A little grill piece there just to give it some interest. Got our anti-collision light. And I should say that 2x2 block has the actual rotor connector on it. So there's a couple different ways you could do this depending on the pieces you have, because there's a lot of different types of tail rotors. And it has a 1x2 plate on the back, which is just to make it a little bit longer, purely for looks. So that's how that goes on there. Now this rotor, tail rotor assembly just pops right onto our cabin like that. Alright, so we'll set that aside. Okay, this is the special roof piece that I was telling you about. I'm trying to get the light to reflect it so you can see. It's, look at it before, it's 8 studs long. It's 4 studs wide at the one end and only 2 at the other. Now the reason why we had to put that towel piece on the top is because on the back side it is not studded all the way down the side, and in fact it's not even cut out, so you can't put studs up against this portion of this piece or else they won't fit. So we've added a 2x2 plate there, and that 2x2 plate eventually is going to go right here. Okay, and like I said, we can't put studs up into where that this one section of the piece is. Actually goes on this way, and so that's why there's a towel piece there. So if you have a regular square, or I guess a rectangular roof piece, or if you're using like a 4x4 and then just a flat piece, it'll just leave a little bit of this exhaust area exposed. It's not really going to change the look of the helicopter, so you can use regular pieces with it. We just happen to have this piece anyway, and we're trying to figure out what to do with it, and to me it looked like the nice tapered roof of a helicopter. So that's what it became. And this is the windshield piece that we're choosing to use. It's a regular 1x4 bracket. We put anti-collision lights on it. It's a pretty distinctive helicopter piece. I think some of the space sets have these, but it's not essential. I'll show you in a minute. But it's going to end up just joining right up against that tapered roof piece like that. So let's look at the rest of the roof. Okay, I've partially disassembled the roof so you can see how it goes together. Basically, we're trying to come up with a way to put these jet engines into the roof section to look like a roof engine assembly, like you see on larger helicopters. So they have a 2x1 plate that they're built off of, and we need to get it up to enough height that it'll clear the rest of the roof. So that's why we built it up with two 2x4s plates stacked, and then there's, of course, the jet engines are going to go on this end of those plates, and then there's a 2x2 plate here, which is also gray just to match that color, and on the top is a 2x3 plate. On the back of the engine I'm putting a 2x2 slope, and to give it a little bit more aerodynamics, I guess, we're going to end up using a 2x3 slope. So they're actually different slopes from front to back. You might be wondering, how does that hold on? It needs another 2x3 plate to hold it on the top, and indeed you're right. But if you see this go onto the roof, like I had explained before, and we'll put this piece on, you'll see that we needed this slope for another reason. Let me get you in frame here. We needed this slope for another reason, and that's because that slope is actually what's holding our cockpit piece on, with a bracket for it. Now, to finish off the roof, of course, there's one big piece missing, and indeed it is a 2x3 plate, but that plate happens to have the rotor attachment to it, and that is the entire top of the helicopter. Arguably the only part of the helicopter that uses special pieces. So keep that in mind. Alright, the only piece I didn't show you was before was the skids. So this is a skid piece. It is one piece, which we tend to stay away from one piece solutions that Lego started doing because we kind of like the traditional look. But I think if you look at the way skids used to be done, you'll agree that, alright, maybe this is a bit of an upgrade. It gives us a little bit more clearance, which allows us to have those lights on it, and it just kind of looks cooler. Now, if you don't have one of these, not a big deal. You can build skids very much like this, or just a series of plates put together. And if you want to have a little bit more separation between the helicopter, you just simply put some bricks in there. No big deal. And you'll get pretty close to the look that we have using this special piece. So let's take this piece and let's do our final assembly. Okay, so our helicopter now is in 4 big sections. There's the roof section, which we'll do last. The tail section, which we will do right before we do the roof section. And our cabin, which we will start with. So we'll take the cabin and we'll put on our tail section, and you can see where the lovely accommodations are for our VIPs. You could put computers back in here, beverage service. There's not really room for a chair unless you snug it up against the front here, but there are 3 studs deep there, so you could put a chair there if you wanted, just like you could put a chair in the front if you happen to have one. And now we're going to put on the roof, again lining up that 2x2 plate there with the kind of the matching hole inside here, and just we're going to lever it down forward. Try not to crush the whole helicopter. It's actually really sturdy when it's built. It's just like anything else Lego. If you try to put it together too fast and you force it, it explodes. And that makes for bad video. And then we'll put our skids on. And I think they were somewhere about here. No, maybe not, because there's a light there. Well, I don't know. It was something like, maybe it went the other way. I should have taken notes on this. I hope you were. Yeah, I think this is how we had it. So there we go. So there's our police helicopter all put back together. Well, with the exception, alright, if you want to have a police gunship, which is admittedly kind of cool when it comes to ending car chases, I have to take the skids off to do it. If you actually wanted to have your Lego police gunship, one of those round brackets, right, and you stick the end of the machine gun in that hole, and you upside down, and then you put it right up here in front of the helicopter, like that. And we will put another one on this side. And this is a police helicopter you do not want to try and run from day or night, because it also has those lights on there. Trying to keep this where you can see it. Not that there's much to see right here. Anyway, so that's how it all goes together. And there's our helicopter. So I mentioned that you could do the front without using one of these special pieces. I think this is the harder piece to come by. There's a lot of ways you can get around that roof piece. So let me show you one suggestion for the front. Okay, I know it's red. I did it in red so that you could see the differences. Now basically, what I did here is, first of all, we took this whole rotor assembly, this whole upper part, and we moved it forward on our roof piece 2 studs. So it's 2 studs farther forward, which keeps the helicopter kind of looking in balance. And then this is a regular windshield piece. In fact, this may look familiar because I just stole it off the front of the original helicopter. That's how old those pieces can be. So anybody has these pieces. So it's basically the front assembly of this helicopter. And then I used one of the newer roof style pieces in red so you could see the change. And I had to change that bracket, obviously. So that's a 1x4 piece along the top there to give it some structure. And this will hold a pilot just like before. Oh, and instead of the slope piece, here you can kind of see how much we lengthened the front of the helicopter. Instead of that slope piece, we're using a 1x4 brick to give it a little bit more distance. You might be able to get away with a 1x3 and kind of tighten that up, but that's what I had handy. So anybody can build this helicopter really, just using standard pieces. Just wanted to prove the point there. Thanks for watching, and of course check back on our blog bricksburgh.com when you can and see what else we wreck in order to build something cool.
Hey, it's Tyler. Today we're gonna Hey, it's Tyler. Today we were gonna show you the Lego Town Police Airport, but since it's too dark to do that, we're gonna show you do that. Yeah. That's why I'm like grunting.
Well, don't be such an old man. Okay, Sonny. Here's how it's done.
Hey, it's Tyler. Today we were gonna show you the Lego Town Airport.